Next on Currents News, Hurricane Michael has crashed into the Florida Gulf Coast. The winds are fierce, up to 155 miles an hour. It's one of the most violent hurricanes in history. An arrest is made in connection with that deadly limousine crash that killed 20 people. I'll have the latest. Ahead of Oscar Romero's canonization this Sunday, a Queens priest talks about his encounters with the future saint. Plus, a rare disease is striking children and the number of cases is going up. The news starts right now. The destructive power of Hurricane Michael for all to see. Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Faublas. Hurricane Michael is the strongest storm to hit the U.S. mainland since 1992. The Category 4 monster is packing violent winds and a potentially deadly surge of ocean water. Natasha Chen has the very latest from Panama City in Florida.
Hurricane Michael is slamming into the Florida panhandle as a monster storm gaining intensity with the potential to cause catastrophic damage.
Right now, the winds is extremely high. It's probably as bad as I've ever seen it.
Florida's governor issued a stark warning to any residents who did not evacuate.
Now the storm is here. The time to evacuate in coastal areas has come and gone.
Some residents who decided to stay are sharing photos of where they are riding out the storm. Many bridges connecting islands to the mainland are now closed.
What's the most surprising and the most astounding, to be quite honest, is how quickly the storm surge has taken over this town.
Officials warn of a storm surge that could reach 14 feet in some areas.
Storm surge is going to be the worst where the eye makes landfall. So not only is it going to bring 14 feet of ocean water and coastal flood inundation, there'll be wave action on top of that.
Tens of thousands of customers are already without power. Officials say it may not be restored for days, possibly weeks. President Trump received a briefing on the storm by FEMA.
I had a long talk with Rick Scott, Governor Scott of Florida. Very well coordinated with all of the states.
Millions of people across 6 states are under hurricane warnings and watches as the storm is expected to blow over Georgia and the Carolinas in the next few days. In Panama City, Florida, Natasha Chen, Currents News.
Hurricane Michael is still ravaging the Florida panhandle with 5 other states under warnings and watches, and Brooklyn's Knights of Columbus wasting no time taking action to provide relief. 2 councils in Bath Beach, Brooklyn are gearing up to help the people whose lives are being changed by the storm. They're collecting monetary donations right now online at stfinbarbrooklyn.org/K of C. Cash or checks can also be delivered to St. Finbar Church, and that's located at 138 Bay 20th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11214. An update now on that deadly limo crash that killed 20 people in upstate New York over the weekend. Now, an employee of the limo company is under arrest. Authorities are still investigating the deadly disaster while family and friends of the victims mourn.
It just really hurts to think that how could this ever happen? I don't understand how it happened.
The grief-stricken sister of one of the 19 victims killed in a deadly limo crash. The operator of the limousine company now under arrest, facing charges of criminally negligent homicide. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo ordering flags to be flown half-staff in honor of the victims. He says the modified SUV limousine failed inspection last month and was not supposed to be on the road, but that is under dispute.
Windshield wipers and a latch on a window had broken and they fixed it. So little things like that. But as recently as last week, they were told by Department of Transportation that that this vehicle was roadworthy and they could drive it.
Authorities have identified all of the victims, among them Matthew Coons, who worked as a personal trainer.
I know that God is cradling him in heaven, and we will see him again one day and work out in heaven's gym. I know he's up there doing curls.
Coons' girlfriend died with him in the crash. Amy King Steenberg and her 3 sisters were also in the limo. They were celebrating her 30th birthday.
They were fun-loving. They were wonderful girls. They'd do anything for you, and they were very close to each other, and they loved their family.
We are learning more about the man who's been arrested. The suspect is identified as 28-year-old Nauman Hussein, the son of the limo company's owner. According to authorities, he failed to heed state police warnings about the limousine and its driver. The Pope took a tumble today, returning home from the Synod. The Vatican said that the Holy Father is fine. He's been presiding over the summit meeting of the world's bishops. On the way back to Santa Marta, Francis stumbled and fell on his back. He got back up and is okay. Striking words from Pope Francis this morning, comparing abortion to the hiring of a hitman. He explained to pilgrims that we must watch over the lives of all, especially children. He posed the question of whether or not it is right to take someone's life in order to solve a problem.
Cosa pensate voi? È giusto? È giusto o no? È giusto affittare un sicario per risolvere un problema? Non si può, non è giusto fare fuori un essere umano, benché piccolo, per risolvere un problema. È come affittare un sicario per risolvere un problema.
The Holy Father added that children are gifts from God that save us from a self-centered existence and help us discover the joy of love. The Holy Father will canonize on Sunday two major figures in recent church history, Oscar Romero and Pope Paul VI. A delegation from the Brooklyn Diocese is in Rome to attend the ceremony. Currents News' Tim Harfman reports on their connection with Archbishop Romero. Tim, what do you have?
Liz, Father Carlos Quijano is devoted to Oscar Romero. As a native of El Salvador, the Queen's priest considers the martyred Romero to be a hero.
During his formation and ordination time,
Father Carlos Quijano has pictures of Blessed Oscar Romero around his office at Blessed Sacrament Church in Jackson Heights, Queens. Visible signs of a devotion to the future saint. Growing up in El Salvador, the priest remembered Oscar Romero as a humble person who could be powerful during Mass.
It was something in his face. His way to talk was the inspiration of God, of the Holy Spirit.
Father Carlos is leading a group from the Brooklyn Diocese to Rome to attend Sunday's ceremony.
Good morning, Blessed Sacrament Church. May I help you?
Sofia Contreras is going because she too has a devotion.
He was a martyr for the church.
Oscar Romero was the Archbishop of San Salvador and assassinated by a right-wing government death squad while celebrating Mass in 1980. He was known for helping the poor and being outspoken against military oppression during the country's bloody civil war, which took the lives of an estimated 75,000 people. Father Carlos recalled when militants showed up at his family's home and took his brother into custody as a political prisoner.
It was a moment that changed forever our life as a family, because for a month my brother was totally... We never knew where he was.
His mother had hope and prayed for her son's return. One night, Oscar Romero appeared to her in a dream.
My mother saw Bishop Romero coming to her to tell her that, don't worry, your son will be fine, but you have to leave the country. You will be far away.
Father Carlos and his mother fled El Salvador, but not before stopping at the Archbishop's grave to pray and leave this plaque. Now, decades later, Father Carlos and other Catholics from the Brooklyn Diocese will watch Archbishop Romero get elevated to sainthood. They say the martyr's elevation is long overdue.
I can explain that I feel
excited.
Excited, yes.
It's a blessing for Salvadoran people around the world, but also for the church.
When Romero was beatified in El Salvador, nearly 250,000 people attended the 2015 ceremony. That's believed to have been the largest religious gathering ever held in Central America.
Tim, why has it taken so long for Oscar Romero to become a saint?
Well, after his assassination at Mass, the Vatican put the case on hold to see whether Romero's murder was political. But Pope Francis declared him a martyr of the faith in 2015, clearing the way for Sunday's canonization.
All right, Tim, thank you so much for that report. Devotees of Oscar Romero gathered at the Metropolitan Cathedral in El Salvador to celebrate the pilgrims who are traveling to Rome for his upcoming canonization. Romero will be made a saint by Pope Francis next Sunday at the Vatican. The Salvadorian Church estimates that over 3,000 pilgrims will attend that ceremony. Authorities are concerned after a Saudi journalist went missing last week. This footage shows Jamal Khashoggi walking into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to get paperwork for his upcoming wedding. He was set to marry this Turkish woman in the coming weeks, but has not been seen since. Turkish President Erdogan demanded that the Saudis release more video to show, in fact, that Khashoggi left the consulate that same day. The U.S. State Department is also showing concern.
The United States is certainly concerned about his whereabouts. Senior officials at the State Department have spoken with Saudi officials through diplomatic channels about the matter. We call on the government of Saudi Arabia to conduct a thorough and transparent investigation.
Khashoggi has been a strong critic of Saudi leadership, but authorities in the kingdom have denied any foul play. And in Bulgaria, a journalist who worked on an investigation into the alleged corruption involving European Union funds is dead. 30-year-old Victoria Marinov's body was found in the northern city of Ruz on Saturday. Authorities say she suffered severe head injuries and suffocation from being raped. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says he is concerned about the ongoing violence against the press. Catholic bishops in South Korea are applauding the invitation for the Pope to visit Kim Jong-un. The North Korean leader has sent a message to the Holy Father promising a warm welcome if he comes to Pyongyang. The invitation is expected to be delivered when South Korea's leader Moon Jae-in meeting with the pontiff at the Vatican later this month. The South Korean bishops are backing the meeting in hopes it would help improve relations on the Korean peninsula. There's a lot more news headed your way. A rare polio-like disease is striking children. Doctors are worried that cases are spiking around the country. The big summit at the Vatican on young people and the church tonight, a preview of the special coverage in the pages of the tablet newspaper. Caught on camera, the moments when a choking baby girl stopped breathing and what happened next. Doctors are finding a rare disease similar to polio in children, and they say there's a rising number of cases around the country. Thomas Hoppe has that report.
He just wasn't walking the way he used to. I had to really support him.
This is Laura Violente 2 years ago when she found out something was wrong with her 3-year-old son, Kiko. After being brought to Children's Hospital, her son was diagnosed with a rare disease called acute flaccid myelitis.
We have heard the stories of other kids that have lost their battle with this disease.
2 years later, we're speaking to Laura because of the rise of a disease her son was diagnosed with in Colorado. Colorado has seen 14 cases of AFM this year. The CDC is reporting 38 cases nationwide, which is more than last year. 2014 and 2016 both had 120 cases. This disease is believed to be connected to enterovirus. 9 of those 14 cases in Colorado have been linked to that.
I know a lot of the cases that from the original 2012, 2014, I'm not sure how good their recovery is compared to a lot of the kids that were diagnosed like Kiko was in 2016.
The Department of Public Health says those 14 patients were hospitalized and nearly all have fully recovered. As for Kiko, his mother says they are fortunate because he is doing amazing 2 years later.
He's really fortunate compared to other cases. He's in kindergarten now, and I go with him to, make his life a little bit easier. I go with him to school because he does need somebody to keep an eye on him pretty much 24/7.
That was Thomas Hoppe reporting. Mayor Bill Deblasio signed a bill allowing a third gender category on city-issued birth certificates. The designation, called X, is for individuals who identify as non-binary, meaning neither male nor female. His Honor says since the federal and state government do not offer non-gendered identity options, New York must take the lead.
It's up to New York City and it's up to localities all over this country to answer this, to give people a right they should have.
The new category is not available at birth. Applicants will need a notarized declaration to make the change and pay a $40 correction fee. The big youth summit at the Vatican and a special preview tonight of the latest edition of the Tablet, the newspaper of the Brooklyn Diocese. The front page, several stories inside, are providing comprehensive coverage of the meeting, which is called a Synod. And here to tell us more about that is Tablet editor-in-chief Jorge Dominguez. Jorge, as always, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
One headline reads, "How the Synod Works," which I think is a good question. How does it work?
Well, in a phrase, it is a meeting of bishops. Bishops from all over the world go to Rome and they meet with the Pope. And not just bishops, but they have other several delegates, and it's a month-long meeting talking about a certain issue. In this case, young people. This is the issue at hand in this synod that is going to last the whole month of October in Rome.
Front page, a story about issues that the bishops who were called to Rome by the Pope are tackling during this synod. Tell us more about these issues.
Well, they are the issues that they select. Well, the synod is prepared a year or 2 years in advance, right? But so they have the issues that they decided to talk about in this synod: young people, faith, and vocational discernment. Those are the three main things. But of course, you have the themes that are around the synod. All the issues that have dominated the headlines during this summer, and it's the role of women in the church, the sexual scandal. So all those issues are present in the synod too. So it's two different sets of themes. The ones that were selected to be treated in the synod, and the ones that the situation imposed in the synod.
So many themes, so how are the bishops handling them?
Well, they are trying to be as open as possible. This is one of the articles that we have in the paper. It's a long interview with Cardinal Gracias from India, and he was explaining how the synod have like certain sessions that are strictly to talk about the issues that they propose for the synod, but they have open sessions to talk about everything that is in their hearts and in their minds.
Something different in this synod. Younger people are more involved. In what way?
Well, in several ways. First of all, the synod is, the bishops that go to the synods are selected by their bishops' conference. Around 200 of them are selected by the bishops' conference in each country. And then the Pope selects 40 bishops by himself. But in this synod in particular, we have around 30 young adults, people under 30 years old, that are at the synod as observers, but they have the right to participate too and to talk in the synod. They don't have the right to vote.
Really quickly, Jorge, a lot of youth filled out a questionnaire ahead of this synod. What did they pinpoint as the top themes, their top concerns?
Well, this is one of the ways that was new to this synod, and in a new way in which the young people participated in this synod. There was two things: a preparatory document, or instrumentis laboris, a working document, and like a kind of survey in the internet. In the internet, almost 250,000 young people participated in the survey that they had in the internet. By the way, people from Uganda, where the Uganda was the country with more participants. Wow. That's a sign of the hope of the Church of Africa, right? So, in those two ways, they selected the themes that were in the minds of the young people around the world to talk about with the bishops in Rome.
All right, thank you, Jorge. A lot of good information in the tablet. The Catholic Press, as you know, vital, bringing to you important stories that can't be found anywhere else. The Catholic Press, though, needs support to get that news to you. Subscribe to the tablet right now. Save up to 55%. You can go to the website, thetablet.org/home55, or you can call 1-877-883-8356. The Shroud of Turin has been studied for centuries to determine its authenticity. Now, a man says he could have a lead. Melissa Butts reports.
The Shroud of Turin is a centuries-old piece of cloth believed to have been used to wrap Christ's body when placed in the tomb. According to tradition, the cloth contains the imprint of Jesus. After studying and constructing a statue of the man from the shroud, sculptor Sergio Rodella wrapped a copy of the cloth around the model to see if it accurately matches in its depiction of the man. Ivan Marsura, director of the Museum of Popes, says many other models hypothesizing the possible man from the shroud have been more artistic than scientific. According to Ivan, this new statue supports centuries of studies and also may help to understand if the shroud is a fake or a real relic.
I can say for the first time everything practically matches between the Shroud of Turin and this statue.
The construction of this statue has even helped historians obtain new information about the man from the Shroud of Turin.
The man of the shroud had semi-paralysis. The hole for the nails is not on the pulse but on the hands.
The statue was constructed after more than 2 years of anatomical studies. 3 times Ordello was forced to demolish his model and rework it. This was to ensure the most accurate representation of the man from the shroud. Sergio first constructed an iron skeleton model and used virtual reconstruction with computer-aided design. He even used negative photos of the shroud, mathematical grids, and transparent paper to more precisely identify the wounds and scourges this man suffered. They hope to produce replicas of the original statue in 4 different materials: plaster, marble, bronze, and wood, to distribute to churches around the globe. The exhibition was recently on tour in Rome, and Sergio plans to take it around the world. It also includes original photographs of the Shroud of Turin, as well as relics of Christ's cross, blood, crown of thorns, a piece from the shroud, and other artifacts. At the Vatican, Melissa Buds, Currents News.
And still to come on Currents News, important news about statins and the health benefits of the cholesterol-lowering drug. The emotional interview with the mom whose newborn daughter stopped breathing. We'll be right back. There is new information tonight about a well-known drug. Doctors typically prescribe a statin when you have high cholesterol and thought there could be links to improving other medical conditions. But researchers studied the impact of statins and couldn't find any definitive proof that the drug helps with anything other than reducing heart disease. Statins have shown promising results in preventing breast cancer recurrence, but most of the evidence is anecdotal. The harrowing moment a baby girl stopped breathing was caught on camera as deputies raced to save her life. Cole Miller has that report.
Without them, we wouldn't have her, and that's not something we want to experience.
What was supposed to be a fun family outing, taking portraits with their newborn girl, quickly turns into chaos.
I didn't want to think that she wasn't breathing.
With mom on the phone to 911, dad and shoppers at Clackamas Town Center begin giving that infant tiny chest compressions.
And it felt like forever, but it was within seconds. There was, deputies there to save her life.
Running through the mall, deputies Zakarki, Olson, and Russell reach little Audrey.
It looked bad, and we didn't know how long she had been without oxygen.
At this moment, her parents can only look on.
You can't describe what it's like to see your child turn blue and, not really know how to help her or what the hell's going on.
Deputies finally get Audrey to burp up some fluid and get a pulse back. Medics with Clackamas Fire then showing up, taking the days-old baby to the hospital. And just recently, some familiar faces making a visit there.
She had her eyes opening, and she actually grabbed onto my hand, and it made me tear up pretty strong.
These parents won't soon forget that day, and they certainly won't forget those who gave their little girl a second chance.
Thank you. That's honestly, how do you say thank you to somebody that saves your child's life when they are, as far as you can tell, not with you anymore? You can't thank them enough.
Oh, I could not even imagine. Thank God for everyone who stepped in to save the baby. And that was Cole Miller reporting that story. Baby Audrey is in the hospital and reported to be doing fine. That is Currents News. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Liz Faublas. Set your DVR to record this program so that you never miss it, because we're putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.